Good afternoon. How are you? I've not heard from you anything. So you have gone through those lectures, earlier lectures, and any difficulty you have faced because there is no feedback. So I don't know, where to clarify the doubts if any persist or exist. So you should give feedback. Otherwise, time is flying, and it is getting wasted. So better you give feedback, and because lockdown thing, we don't know how long and this thing will persist. So it is better you go through notes and ask me questions if you have any questions. Though it is not an interactive mode, but still a way can be found. You can WhatsApp, call, whatever way you can ask questions, any doubts, because the time is very limited. If you are appearing for 2022 exam, time is very limited, only less than 6 months are there. So you should be in full preparation mode by this time. So any questions on science and technology on the GS paper, should take printout of the GS papers, get the papers from the net and take a printout. Optionals as well, find out where you have difficulties and then ask questions. It is very important, like you ask questions. If you don't, you can't build up the knowledge in your brain. So for the mains, less than 6 months for 2022 exam, I hope your preparations are going good, going well. So you should call and give feedback on WhatsApp, on whatever mode you find suitable, like how the things are progressing, what preparations have you made, what new concepts you need to know. Do go through the newspaper current affairs and try to build up a database of what current affairs things are happening in the world, throughout the world, in different sectors, different fields, science and technology inclusive. So that way you will be able to pass this exam very easily. Otherwise, time will get wasted. Simply every day will pass, and new day will come, and again the day will pass, and another day will come. So you won't have any time left by the time exam appears. So you should be going full steam by this time. Anyway, this motivation talk, keeping this motivation talk aside, I talked about the defense sector. The last few chapters I talked about the Indian Navy, about the submarines. I think you have your concepts clear, because these are very important aspects. The Project 75 and 75I are very important aspects of the defense sector. So you should know about nuclear submarines, what submarines currently are operational in India, what future plans are. So what kind of indigenization is India is going through. So these are very important aspects which you should take care of. So Navy, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, then different weapon systems, NOG, anti-tank weapons, different kinds of ballistic missile India have, what are their characteristics, how they are rated vis-a-vis other countries in the world. So these are very important aspects. So you should keep these things in your mind. So all the different types of platforms, different types of weapons, platform systems, these things should be very clear with you. If some question comes on a specific weapon system or weapon platform like S-400 Triumph, which was there in this mains 2021, so you should know its characteristic. The question asks about its capability in the particular segment, the air defense segment. It's an air defense weapon system. So its capability with other weapons of similar nature in the world. There are other weapons of a similar nature, like THAAD is there, THAAD concept is there, then Patriot missile system is there, then Iron Dome of Israel. So how this system is more superior to those missile systems in the world. So this thing should be very clear with you. I'll give you some, I'll tell you something about the S-400 weapon. So you know about the S-400. It is air defense weapon. So you should be very clear with this type of systems like Agni 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ICBM. So what India's ambitions are in ICBM field? Does India need an ICBM? So you should be very clear with these concepts. Like you build questions from these material. Ask yourself these questions on your own. What question can be asked in the question paper? So how ICBM Surya, what are its capabilities? What is its range? And what kinds of weapon it carries? So these type of questions, you make these questions and ask yourself and write answers to them. The material is there with you, the course material. So you can go through that, build your basic knowledge. That is the raw data, raw knowledge. Glean information out of it in suitable form so that you present it very nicely when you write answers in the examination hall. So this is very important. S-400 systems, I'll tell you something about why it is more superior vis-a-vis other such systems in the world. Basically, S-400 system, it's a Russian system. It's a Russian air defense system. Russians earlier developed S-300, then the 400 they developed, and then S-500 they are working on. So they are exporting this thing to many other countries. Many countries have received these systems like Turkey, China. Now India has also received a shipment of these missiles. The process of delivery to India has begun. So India will have the full system sometime by the 2022 or end of 2022 or in 2023. So these systems are for air defense. I also talk about PAD system, Prithvi Air Defense System. Because these air defense systems, you have to protect your aerospace or airspace. So that needs a layered approach. So you like protecting a city like Delhi or Mumbai needs different kinds of needs certain strategic approach. Like Delhi, they have planned for a 6-layered approach. For 400, 500, they will have Prithvi and then these type of systems. Then Akash. So these like layered approaches there for the protection of airspace of Delhi or major cities, because this weapon can intercept missiles, aircrafts, etc. Unmanned S-400 system can intercept these kinds of weapon systems. So these are sought to be deployed in such theaters. So the protection of the major cities in case of nuclear attack by an adversary. So this approach you should understand why these weapon systems are very important. So S-400, why is it superior? I come back to the topic, the questions that has been asked in the mains examination 2021. So why S-400 system is superior to the comparable systems in the world? You have to give some technical details, like, because this is an air defense system, so you have to tell like it is it is a complete system. It is not just a missile. S-400 is just not a Triumph, is just not a missile. It is a complete system. It comes with the radars, launching vehicles, and then the missiles, and then tracking of a missile. So those kind of whole systemic approach is there for this S-400 systems. So that you should know, like why, what are the different components of this S-400 system are. That way you have you can write very nicely in the answer sheet, like you can present very beautifully your thoughts, like if you have the raw knowledge of the S-400 systems. So I give you the raw knowledge, raw data about the S-400 syndrome. First point you note is it comes with the multifunction radar. It comes with the multifunction radar. The S-400 systems, it's not just a missile, it is a complete system with the radars, tracking, launching, and other things. So it is the system S-400 systems. It comes, number one, it comes, why it is superior? Number one point, you answer, you right, comes with the multifunction radar, autonomous detection. Autonomous detection means what? No human intervention is required in detection of the incoming threat, missiles, aircraft, unmanned aerial vehicle. So this system can detect on its own the threats, aerial threats, in the different forms like missiles or aircrafts or unmanned vehicles. So it comes with a multifunction radar, autonomous detection, and targeting systems. Targeting system and anti-aircraft missile systems and a command and control center. That is what? It is a whole system which has parts like a multifunction radar detects incoming aerial threat, autonomous detection, then it automatically detects that something that this is not a friendly nation, this incoming aerial threat is not from a friendly nation, it is a threat. So, and targeting system, then it targets the incoming missiles or aircraft or whatever it is, incoming threat, it targets, it pinpoints the target. So, like the missile or aircraft coming at certain velocity and it is flying, so it has to target it and latch on to the target so that the missile hits it. When the missile is launched by the system, it hits its target precisely. So then the anti-aircraft missile systems, there are all battery of the launchers in this system. The anti-aircraft missiles are there in the system. In the system, the radar detects, then the radar is there, it is scanning the airspace above the systems for some quite lot of distance. I think 600 kilometer its range is, and then when the detection is made, then target is selected, and then the missile is launched. The anti-aircraft missile systems are there, and command and control center. There is a separate command and control system. Command and control means which monitors all these aspects of the operations of the missile systems, which watches a radar screen, where people watch the radar screens, find out what threats are there, what kind of missiles are coming, from which direction they are coming, with what speed. So when the target, they identify the target and whether these are friendly or foe kind of aerial threats, aerial things. So when these have been identified, then target is selected and it is latched on, and the missile is launched to hit the target. So command and control performs all these functions. Secondly, it is capable of engaging S-400. It is capable of engaging any target over a long range of 400 kilometers and at 27 kilometers altitude. That is, it can hit a target. It is a layered kind of, there are different missile systems, missiles in this system. So longest range are 400 kilometer, about 400 kilometer I think. So the 400 kilometer target, up to 400 kilometer, it can engage a target. If there is a threat, if an aerial threat is there which is at 400 kilometer, this system can identify the threat and target it. So it is, so the system is, S-400 system is capable of engaging. I told you it is a system. It composes of radars, missiles, and command and control. So the radars detects the missile coming at 400 kilometer range. So when the target is identified, it is latched onto, and from S-100, 400 missiles are launched to hit the target. So it is capable of engaging any target over a long range of 400 kilometers and 27 kilometers altitude. That is almost in the troposphere. It can at the height of the top, like 27 kilometer above the surface earth, it can engage the target and hit it. And it has capacity to simultaneously engage 36 targets. Like there are 36 missiles, or there, I told you, MIR, multiple independently launched re-entry vehicles, which launch multiple missiles. Single missile launch multiple warheads. So if there are multiple warheads, it can engage up to 36 targets at a time. So it can target 36 targets at a time. So it is capable. It is capable of engaging any target over a long range of 400 kilometers and at 27 kilometers, and it can engage multiple targets. That is about 36 targets it can engage. So that's why it is superior to vis-a-vis other such systems in the world. Secondly, it can be deployed in 5 minutes. Its deployment is like this. These are the mobile system. They are mounted on trucks or the other vehicles, and so these can be mounted immediately wherever. So within 5 minutes, these systems can be mounted, as compared to the 25 minutes taken by Patriot. Patriots are and these are also anti-missile systems or air defense systems like S-400 Triumph. These Patriots are of USA origin. So these missiles take 25 minutes, Patriot missile, whereas S-400 Triumph system takes about S-400 take about 5 minutes to deploy. Its highest speed is at 4.8 kilometers per second. S-400 has the highest speed of 4.8 kilometers per second, compared to the Patriot's speed of 1.35 kilometers per second. So it is very fast missile. So when the missiles are launched by the system, these missiles are very fast. They can intercept the target very quickly. At the range is target hit is 400 kilometers and maximum altitude is 27 kilometers. Up to 27 kilometers it can hit any target. So compared to Patriot systems, it is very quick and easily and very fast and deployable. It can be deployed very fast. Fourthly, while its radars are capable of detecting low signature targets, it comes with an electronic countermeasures to thwart any jamming attempts by the enemies. Like low signature targets means what? Like sometimes stealth aircrafts are there, which they have very low signatures. Some other technologies are used to hide the to camouflage the incoming aerial threat by the adversary. So they will put coating of some stealth material, something like that, so that these things cannot be detected. Or sometimes low flying aircrafts flying at very low altitudes, or stealth aircrafts like America has the F-35A Raptor, F-22. So these kind of things, but though they are these stealth weapons, so they are very low signatures. Sometimes even non-stealth aircraft flying at very low altitudes can't be detected by sometimes can't be detected by radars. So these radar systems are very capable of the radar system S-400 are very capable. So they can they capable of detecting low signature targets as well. Low signature targets means that on the radar screen, the signature of the incoming threat would be very like visible, very minimally visible. Like it will appear as some birds are flying or something like that, which have very low signature on the radars. So, and as well it comes with the electronic countermeasure to thwart jamming. So radars cannot be jammed by it takes electronic countermeasures to the jamming. You have seen the signals can be jammed sometimes by the adversaries or something like that. So you can jam the electromagnetic. These are electromagnetic signals. They can be jammed by certain technologies. So these systems can take countermeasure, anti-jamming measures. So the system works perfectly even when the jamming attempts are being made. So this is also another technical capabilities of this missile system, which is noteworthy compared to vis-a-vis other missile systems in the world of its class. Fifth point is, while it is a fraction of the cost of Western counterparts such as THAAD or Patriot, it can protect a much larger area as compared to Iron Dome used by Israel. Now you see the other system, THAAD of the same class, THAAD or Patriot or Iron Dome of Israel. So, and the cost of this missile system is very less compared to the Western systems. They are very expensive systems, and they are slow as well compared to the S-400. So this it's cost. It's a fraction means very less cost compared to the Western counterparts. Its cost is very less compared to the Western counterpart, such as THAAD. THAAD is high altitude. The high altitude air defense kind something. It is a theater system or some kind of system is there. High altitude means like S-400 can intercept a missile at an altitude of maximum altitude of 27 kilometers. So these are the high altitudes. So at the THAAD systems, Patriot missile systems, these missile systems were Patriot was, I think, were deployed in the Persian Gulf wars as well. So if I don't know what was the efficiency ratio, what kind of hit kill ratio the system had, but some spectators say these missiles couldn't, Patriot missiles couldn't intercept many or none of the Scud fires by the Iraqi regimes. Scud missiles are of Russian origin, I think, and Iraq at that time possessed these kind of weapons. So they fired these missiles, and I don't know whether they were intercepted, but they have shown that it has a Patriot system had a good kill ratio. Not sure about it. You check it out. So in compared to being inexpensive and with much more capabilities like high speed missiles and low signature detection, autonomous detection, and quick deployment of these missile systems, you can see that these are some of the characteristics. So being inexpensive, multifunction radars, and then detection of low signature targets, multiple targets, engaging of multiple targets. So these are some of the characteristics. Some other important characteristics of these missile systems are also there. The sixth is it has an edge over US-made THAAD in terms of hitting the targets behind the horizon, like behind visual range. I told you in case of aircrafts, missiles fired behind visual range, that is behind the range of behind the horizon. You can't see behind the horizon. So these missiles go and strike the aerial threat coming from whatever kind of threat is there behind the horizon. So it has an edge over US THAAD missile systems in terms of hitting the targets behind the horizon. And seventhly, while being an anti-ballistic missile defense system, it is capable of engaging other aerial targets like UAVs, etc. UAV means unmanned aerial vehicles, like drones, these kind of predator drones and all those things. These are very deadly weapons, these drones, as was seen in the war between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So these are very important weapon systems. So these are some 7 characteristics of S-400 system which someone could have written in the answers to the question asked in the UPSC 2021 mains GS3 paper. So that is the way. These points you should have. These points should be there in their mind. And when it comes to writing a question, you write very coherently in a point-wise manner the answer, like vis-a-vis other system, THAAD, Patriot, Israeli Iron Dome. Iron Dome is also a kind of anti-missile system or an anti-aircraft kind of system used by Israel for its air defense. But its range is very limited. It means it can protect it protects a smaller area compared to the S-400. S-400 system can protect a much larger area as compared to the Iron Dome used by Israel. So its effect is more on its range of detection, hitting that enemy targets is more compared to the Iron Dome system. Iron Dome system is a very small system for air defense of the Israel, like some missiles, unguided kind of missiles being fired by Hamas from some Palestinian territories. like Gaza strips and all those things. So these are being, Israel uses the system to protect its citizens' territory from these missile attacks, but sometimes it fails. So interception is not there in some cases, but still S-400 is a very potent weapon compared to these kind of systems. So that way you know the what other systems are there. So you know, find out from net about these systems as well, and then you make a comparative analysis of these system vis-a-vis S-400. So then you can write a good answer. This is about the S-400 systems I talked about. So S-400 systems, so you should know about all these systems. Like I told you in the Indian context, Agni system. So what are the thoughts or the planning, strategic planning in case of protection of big cities like Delhi and Mumbai? What kind of anti-air defense systems or layered system India has envisaged in case of attacks, aerial threats by enemy nations, aerial threats in the forms of missiles or aircrafts. So so these kind of questions may come. So you should be very thorough with these platforms, what their characteristics are, how they are superior or inferior vis-a-vis other such systems in the world. So these are some aspects I wanted to tell you about S-400 systems. Now I have talked about the defense sector, I talked about the missiles, cruise. I'm repeating myself. I've talked about the missiles, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, low altitude. Cruise missiles are low altitude missiles. Ballistic missiles are big range missiles. Sometimes like ICBMs, they cross the atmosphere and then re-enter the atmosphere to hit the target. So these kind of things you should know. What are the differences? What are the missile systems? Different missile systems. So you should know about the missile systems of other countries like Pakistan, what missile system it has, China, what missile system it has. So what kind of anti-ship missiles it is planning to use in war, in case of a war in South China Sea or over Taiwan. So these things are very, and then I talked about the nuclear submarine navy, the nuclear submarines, the different kind of submarines and the nuclear submarines. You should know about the importance of nuclear submarines, why they are important, why they are so important for the triad concept. That is, you have the capability to launch second nuclear strike, which is linked to the doctrine, India's or world's other powers, nuclear doctrines, whether they're going to for a first nuclear strike or a second nuclear capabilities. So these type of doctrines, planning, strategic plannings, and studies thought you must know. So these are systems. I talked about the submarines, then navies, then the different projects India has initiated for indigenous construction of submarines, ships, different classes of ships I talked about, different classes of submarines, and all those things. Today I'll talk a little bit about the Air Force. I've told you Air Force is a very important component of defense of a country. Talked about the coastal defense, about the water defense, like how do you protect your waters. Land, I talked about army, what different weapon systems, infantry use incest, these kind of indigenous rifles and missiles, and cooperation with other countries, AK-47 and other advanced AK series weapons which are being manufactured with collaboration with other countries like Russia for the army. So tanks, MBT Arjun tank. So these are the some programs going on. So I'll talk about the Air Force. So you're taking care of your land, you're taking care of your sea. Now you have to take care of your airspace. How do you take care of your? You have to have certain weapon system or certain platforms to monitor and take action when the contingency arises in case of airspace. So you have seen, you have heard about Rafales. What are they? They are airborne platforms for launching weapons. So they have both the protective as well as defensive as well as offensive role. So I'll talk about the IAF, that is Indian Air Force. So what projects DRDO has or the other agencies like HAL, other organizations like HAL have for the Indian Air Force, like what kind of weapon platforms, systems or platforms they're developing for the Air Force, Indian Air Force. So these are important aspects. You should have a holistic view, a broad view of the whole thing first, like the defense, air, space, air, water, land, and then weapon system being developed, what programs launched by the government of India for the development of these systems, indigenization of different systems, then import of certain weapons. So what is a strategic plan for the safety of the country? So what these things, whatever is available in the open sources, we can talk. We don't know about the classified or the secret information. So the question won't be asked on those things as well. So whatever is available, open source material, newspapers, books or other things, we can make an idea of India's defense strategy or planning. So accordingly we can write. So about the airspace and the Air Force. So what strikes the mind first? That is the aircraft. When you talk of Air Force, what weapon system or the weapon platform strikes your mind first is the aircraft. Aircraft is the most potent weapon. With the invention of flight, with the invention of this flight systems, that is man flying in air, invention of aeroplane by Wright brothers in the earlier 20th century. Subsequently, the policy planners in European and other countries found out that this platform can be, that is aeroplane, can be very useful for protection or for offensive or defensive purposes of a country. So that's the way the air forces were built. So air forces were slowly, second war, the air forces were used massively by the different nations like Germany, Britain, United States of America and other nations involved in this war. So the very potent weapon, air forces. So air force means it give you dominance from high above. So you can dominate an area through air force, like these planes flying and bombing certain military static formations like infantry units or tanks and others at one place, because they can fire so high above. The range of, the range of these artillery shells and others is ballistic. They go to a certain height and then they drop back. So these are not the guided one. So these are the aspects. The air force is a very potent weapon for offense as well as defense. So massively used during World War II by Germans, by British, by English, by Americans. So Indian Air Force, how it has evolved, I think Indian Air Force was established in 1939 or 1937, something like that. Air Force Day is observed on that day, the establishment of Air Force. So Air Force is an important component of defense. So what the thing I told you that strikes the mind when we talk about Air Force is the aircraft. So India imported aircraft from Russia because India doesn't have since after independence didn't have much capacity to build aircrafts. So most of them were English variety imported from abroad. So after after independence also the imports continued, like MiG-21 from Russia, Soviet Union, and other weapon systems were bought from other countries. So they were imported, so not manufactured. So India also thought of having own aircraft. So they have this program started for building aircraft, that is LCA, Light Combat Aircraft. What is a light combat aircraft? It is a fourth generation fly-by-wire, single seat, single engine, multi-role light fighter aircraft. So you have this thing in your notes. I'm just repeating those notes only, but this information is vital. Like in case of S-400 missiles, their characteristics, the characteristics should be known of a weapon system or a platform or a program's product. So fourth generation fly-by-wire. Fly-by-wire means that is uses electronic things, electronic components for its operations. So these are very important concepts. It is a single seat. Generally you have seen there are two-seater planes, fighter aircrafts, but this is a single seat, single engine. There is only one engine is there. A multi-role light fighter aircraft. Multi-role means go for defense as well offense, air superiority, air dominance, air attacks. So these kind of roles it can fit into. It was inducted in 2016 and commenced formal operations it was inducted in 2016 and commenced formal operation in 2018. So there is an agency, DRDO, I told you, is the main research and development arm of arm for defense forces. So DRDO doesn't mean DRDO does all the work on research. It has got different labs. So one agency of DRDO, that is Aeronautical Development Agency, ADA of DRDO, is responsible for designing and development of this LCA. It's known as TEJAS, TEJAS, TEJAS LCA. TEJAS and TEJAS Mark 1 is a weaponized version of TEJAS LCA, indigenously developed to replace MiG-21. MiG-21 system, India is still flying. These are very old aircraft, I think 1960 vintage of Soviet origin. So India is still flying. I think that February Pulwama incident, you might have seen that MiG-21 was shot down. Whether it was shot down by Pakistan Air Force or what, I don't know, but it was shot down. That aircraft was MiG-21, quite old planes of 60s vintage, I think 60s, 70s vintage. So India is still flying those planes. So to replace those aging planes by these modern planes, like indigenously developed modern planes like TEJAS LCA. So like I have told you about the GSLV Mark 1. So this TEJAS 1 has also a variant called TEJAS TEJS MK-1, Arabic 1, that is TEJAS Mark 1. It is a weaponized, weaponized version means it carries weapons, missile, guided missile, laser guided missiles and all those things. It can carry the explosives for hitting the enemies. Then there is an LCA Navy, that is, it is a version to be used by the Navy. LCA Navy, I have told you the aircraft carriers. What aircraft carriers do? They carry aircrafts, increase the range of aircraft, like it is a floating runway. So you have aircrafts on the deck, and they take off from the runway on the aircraft. I told you about STOBR, short takeoff and arrested recovery, STOBR. So these kind of systems are used on aircraft carrier for operations of aircrafts. So aircrafts, you need aircrafts on ships like aircraft carriers. So there is a Navy version as well. So that is known as LCA Navy. It made the first arrested landing on deck of INS Vikramaditya in 2020. What is INS? Vikramaditya, I told you, the current operational aircraft carrier India has. So this is a current operational aircraft carrier. You know what the aircraft carriers? I told you American aircraft carriers, the 7th Fleet, 5th Fleet, so different zones of the world. So they can project their power through this flotilla of ships, with the main central ship being aircraft carrier, protected by other ships. So this aircraft carrier I told you about. So India is only currently working on INS Vikramaditya. So LCA was made an arrested recovery, STOBR recovery, landing on that plane. So it is a very technical thing in taking off and landing on this aircraft carrier. This is a specialized skill and specialized technologies are needed for this taking off and landing on an aircraft carrier. So this is there. Then there is a TEJAS trainer, 2-seat operational conversion trainer. Trainer means before these flying officers take charge of their planes, in regular planes, they learn the skills of flying and other things associated with them, like attacking and all those things. So you need trainers for them, trainer planes. So these are the TEJAS trainer is one of the aspect of the. So these are the fixed wing planes. These aircrafts generally, like LCA, fixed wing means they are not rotating part. Engine is there is some rotation, but they are not, wings are not rotating, so they are fixed wing. These kind of, but other variant is there are there is rotation. There is a rotation. that is rotary kind of aircraft. Those aircrafts, you know, these aircrafts are helicopters. Like helicopters, they have rotating blades which rotate and create the drag or lift for the system to fly. So helicopters, India is also working on, is working and has worked on having its own helicopters, that is indigenously made helicopters. So one helicopter in particular which India has made is known as Dhruv. It has been made by HAL. HAL means Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Bangalore based company, PSU. So this helicopter is known as HAL Dhruv, DHRUB. What it is there in your notes. I'll just repeat so you understand, and if you have any difficulty in any concept, helicopters, fixed wing aircrafts, you do WhatsApp or call. So that way you will know. Okay, so HAL Dhruv is a utility helicopter developed and manufactured by HAL, that is Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, headquartered at Bangalore. It entered service in 2002 and it is designed to meet requirements of both military and civil operations. Like you have seen the helicopters flying from Jammu airport to the Sanji Chat, Vaishno Devi, Mother Vaishno Devi shrine. So those are the civilian helicopters. As well, you have seen the military helicopter also flying. So they are IL series helicopters, sometimes IL-76 and all those kind of helicopters are there. Sometimes other helicopters are also there. Civilian helicopter, you have Pawan Hans Limited was there. So that was I think it has been closed down. That was a public limited company used to fly helicopter services. So that Pawan Hans helicopter was there. Was an accident also there in Katra Hills, I think, involving one of the helicopters of that company. So no, they are private helicopters of different countries. Augusta Westland companies there. You might have heard about the controversy involving Augusta Westland helicopters. Dassault French company. So they are many companies in the world make helicopters. So India also decided to make helicopters. So the private companies are investing in making helicopters. So government is the biggest entity in the country. So they have invested resources in making these helicopters, and Dhruv was made that way. So it is used both for military and civil operations. So there is also the military version HAL Light Combat Helicopter. That is what HAL Hindustan Aeronautical Limited LCH. HAL LCH, Light Combat Helicopter, means light helicopter, not big helicopter like you might have seen Chinook helicopter, American made Chinook, double rotor, Chinook aircrafts or other type of aircraft, IL-76, big helicopters. So these are light helicopters. I think they are used for transporting supplies and other things to the Siachen Glacier from base. So HAL Light Combat Helicopter, this is a combat helicopter, it is used in combat operations. So LCH is this is a military version of this program. So it is a dedicated light helicopter for combat operation, like Apache, you might have seen big helicopter, weaponized, fully weaponized helicopter from US, United States. Now another helicopter and the fixed wing aircraft which comes to mind, fighter aircraft, which comes to mind is Rafale. You might have heard the Rafale controversies and all those things. So what is a Rafale? Rafale is a twin jet fighter. I told you LCA is a single jet fighter. So Rafale is a twin jet fighter and it can carry out all combat aviation missions to achieve air superiority and air defense. Means air superiority means it can kill other aircrafts, other systems, and have superiority in the area of its operation. So air superiority and defense. Defense means if attacked, it can attack back. It can protect itself. So it has both the capability, air dominance, air superiority, and air defense. These are different strategies, terms used for in this airspace operations planning. So this air superiority is one of the air defense. what kind of weapon systems you use for these aspects of your policy, for operationalization of your policy. So it is a twin jet. Rafale is a twin jet fighter, carry out all combat aviation missions to achieve air superiority and air defense, close air support. It can provide air support, in-depth strikes, close air support. It can provide support services as well. In-depth strikes. It can go deep into the enemy territory. Like in China, it can go deep in the Tibet region and strike there. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance means what? It can monitor the area. It can gather intelligence, information about enemy thing like troops. There are certain sensors on these aircraft which have the capabilities to gather this kind of information. Anti-ship strikes. So it is a twin jet fighter, can carry out all combat aviation missions to achieve air superiority and air superiority and air defense, close air support, in-depth strikes, reconnaissance, anti-ship strikes and nuclear deterrence. So it is also part of the triad. So nuclear deterrence means it can carry nuclear missiles which can be launched from it to hit the adversaries. So it is part of the triad. Triad, I told you, land-based missiles, launch missiles, Agni, Prithvi, then from the sea, from submarines, SLBM, submarine launched ballistic missiles, and then from the air you can launch nuclear weapons, that is through missiles carried on the aircraft. So Rafale can carry these kind of missiles. These are big missiles, so you need lot of capability, big engines, big powerful engines you need. I don't think LCA has that capability right now. So its combat range is of about 780 to 1650 kilometers, that it can fly this range. When fuel is filled, it can fly this range, 780 to 1650 kilometers. It has weapons, different weapons. It carries missiles. I told you, like Tejas carries different kind of weapons. So it also but it carries very sophisticated, very updated missiles. So like one of it is Meteor, METEOR, behind visual range, behind air-to-air missiles, behind visual range, air-to-air missile, Meteors. Sometimes they may ask you a small question: what is Meteor missile carried by Rafale fighter aircraft? So it is a behind visual range, air-to-air missile. So it can hit other aircrafts, other systems, airborne systems, behind the visual range, behind the horizon. You don't have to see by eye and a target to hit it. It can find out certain radar systems are there on the aircraft, so they can locate the behind visual range those aerial threats, lock them, latch them, and then a missile will go and hit it. So it carries Meteor, behind visual range, air-to-air missiles. These missiles are powered by ramjet engines for a range of 120 to 150 kilometers at Mach 4. That Mach I told you is speed of sound. So 1 Mach is the speed of sound. So Mach 4 is the 4 times the speed of sound. So it can go, these missile can go up to 120 to 150 kilometer range. Then it has also fire and forget. Another kind of Meteor is one kind of missiles. Then it has Scalp, SCALP, cruise missile. It carries Scalp cruise missile which can hit over 300 kilometers. So Meteor air to air, so Scalp air to ground cruise missiles. Means they hit the ground targets like big runways and other things, airfields are there, military airfields are there, which it can be hit by these missiles, Scalp missiles. So these are air to ground cruise missiles carried by the Rafale. So Rafale carries Meteor, Scalp. Then there is also a weapon, another missile it carries, that is Hammer. Hammer has other capabilities. So we find out from the net. This is not in the notes, but you can find Hammer is another missile. It is carried by the Rafale. So these are the kind of aircraft. I talked about the fighter aircrafts, rotary blade air systems like helicopters, Indian context LCA, Rafale, and then Dhruv, LCH. Now I'll talk about the another aircraft. There are many types of aircraft used. Therefore, some are used for transport troops, supplies, for logistical purposes, for other rescue, search and rescue missions. So there are different kind of aircrafts. Some have turbo blade, some have turbo blade engines. So these are that is flying. These are wings type of things. This rotary wings are there. So one of those aircraft is Dornier aircraft, DORNIER, DORNIER. It is a 19-seater HAL-228 aircraft, and it is a highly versatile twin turboprop multi-purpose light transport aircraft. So it is a transport aircraft. So earlier I talked about the fighter jets and helicopters. Now this is a transport aircraft. It has a twin turboprop multi-purpose. You have seen this thing rotating in front of the wings. So that is a twin, means two turboprops, multi-purpose light transport aircraft. So Dornier is another. It is also used by Navy, I think. So then there is C-17 Globemaster 3, C-17 Globemaster Roman 3, C-17 Globe Master Roman 3. This is C-17 Globe. It is a Boeing manufacturer. That is United States. It is Boeing is a United States company, American company. So it is built by Boeing, and you have also seen the Boeing civilian aircraft, Boeing 767, 747. These Boeing civilian aircrafts used by civil airlines. So for the military purpose, they have built the C-17 Globemaster Roman 3. It is a heavy lift aircraft. It's a heavy lift, means it is also a transport aircraft. It carry much larger volume and weight of supplies or troops. So it is a big aircraft. So it has a range of 4,200 kilometers with a payload of 70 tons. That is, it can carry 70 tons of weight. When it makes a sortie, it can carry 70 tons, and it go up to 4,200 kilometers. I think in the on single fuel charge. So at present, I think India has 11 in number. Then comes this is an imported weapon system. It has been imported from America. Then another imported weapon system, that is AH-64 Apache, AH-64, and then Apache, APACHE, Apache. It is a multi-combat helicopter. It is a multi-combat helicopter, and it is very advanced kind of multi-role heavy attack helicopter. It is a multi-role most advanced heavy attack helicopter. It's a big helicopter. It can carry a lot of weight. Weapon system. There are a lot of weapon systems. There is a gun. There are guns, machine guns, missiles. It can fire small missiles. There helicopters can carry. So these are very potent attack weapons. These have been used in many places. I think in Afghanistan, America has used these weapons. So AH-64 Apache. India has also imported these weapons from America. So for use of its defense forces. So it carries air to ground Hellfire missile. These are small missiles, not very ballistic missile or cruise missile. So it carries air to ground Hellfire missile. 70mm Hydra rockets, HYDRA rockets, means small rockets. Air to air Stinger missiles, Stinger missile, STINGR missiles. These are the weapon system this platform can carry. So this means Stinger missiles were used by the American, what were called Mujahideens during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. They would use to shoot down these Soviet helicopters or aircraft with the help of shoulder mounted Stinger missiles supplied by the America. Very potent weapons. And then later on they tried to and they kept an inventory of supply of these missiles. These Americans kept to Afghanistan Mujahideens and later tried to recover those missile systems because very potent. They can be used against by terrorists or other groups, non-state actors for shooting down civilian aircrafts and all those things. So these are very, these are also known as area weapon subsystems. So till now I think some 8 have been inducted. I'm not sure about the figures. Then there is CH-47F bracket 1 Chinook helicopters. CHINNOK. CH-47F bracket 1 Chinook helicopters. What are Chinook helicopters? They are multi-rotor. At one end there is a rotor blade and another end there is a rotor blade. They are very heavy lift. They can carry a lot of people and things when they fly. So these are very sturdy kind of weapons platforms. So they are multi-role heavy lift helicopters and they have a payload capacity of 10 tons. They can carry 10 tons. Globemaster can carry 70 tons. So these helicopters, but these helicopters, Chinook helicopters, they can carry 10 tons of material or personnel or whatever, soldiers. In 2019 it was inducted at Chandigarh Air Force Station. So other developments in the Indian Air Force domain. So these are the aircrafts I talked about, and these weapon system imported as well indigenously being developed. Imported Chinook, Apache, MiG-21, Rafale, IL-76, MiG-29, Jaguar, Mirage 2000. So these are the different kind of weapon system imported by India from other countries. So indigenously it is trying to, it has been trying and is still trying to develop indigenous aircrafts and helicopters. So it has developed LCA, Tejas and Dhruv light combat helicopters. So these kind of things what are happening or have happened in the vis-a-vis Indian Air Force missiles systems development. No other developments in this field. You have heard about the drone systems. So India is also trying to develop wirelessly or remotely controlled systems. So what are these developments are? So one system is Muntra, MUNTRA. That is full form is Mission Unmanned Tracked. So MUNTRA, mantra. It is Mission Unmanned Tracked, means unmanned system. So which is being, these are like through radio and other electromagnetic spectrum waves you can remotely operate these kind of systems. You have seen the children's children's playing with cars through remote controls. Those are remotely controlled toys, toy cars operated through radio waves with radio signal. But these are very complex, complicated systems. Like you have seen about the Predator systems used by the Americans. These are unmanned fixed wing aircrafts. So they fly at high altitudes, carry a lot of ammunition. They can kill. They can shoot to kill. Like recently you have seen in one case in Afghanistan. So mantra is one such system, Mission Unmanned Track. It is India's first unmanned tank for surveillance, mine detection and reconnaissance in areas with nuclear and bio threats. So you know the nuclear and bio threat. Bio threats means what? Biological weapons like nerve agents, like chemical gases or chemical, not chemical exactly, but bioweapons means using virus. Like they are saying that this virus, coronavirus is a bioweapon from China. Bioweapon means you can cause casualty through use of microorganisms. You can kill a lot of people by use of harmful microorganisms. You bioengineered them for destruction. So these are the bioweapons. So these are very dangerous. They can kill a lot of people. So these are very dangerous weapons. So if there are these kind of threats, bio threats or nuclear threats. You know the nuclear threats, when suppose some place there is radiation or some radiation leak has happened, or some weapon has misfired and landed on your own territory, and it carries some radiation material, so nuclear radiation materials. So those things are very dangerous. So how you can't send people to handle these kind of threats or the situations. So you need some things, robots or artificial kind of things, which are not affected, which are not biological in nature, whose biological system can be affected by these radiations or by these biological things. So you try to have those systems. So this system is mantra, manned, untracked, unmanned, mission unmanned, tracked. These kind of systems are used. This is a tank. You send such tank. This is not a big. I don't think technology has developed that of independently proportional autonomous tanks. Still, these tanks you've seen in being put in Ladakh area by Indian Army. They are still, I think, driven by humans only. But these are just the beginnings. These kind of small, where you have small threats like these, some kind of nuclear radiation leak or bio threats. You can use these robots. These are unmanned robots. So these tank you can use for that purpose, mantra. Then there is Dhavani, DHVANI, another development in this sector, in this field. Dhvani is what? It is full form is, it is an acronym. Its full form is detection and hit visualization using acoustic N-wave identification. Detection and hit visualization using acoustic N-wave identification. Acoustic means sound. So N-wave you can find out from the net. So using this kind of system, you use this technology. What can you do? It has been developed by CSIR. CSIR means Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. It is developed by CSIR, CSIR's National Aerospace Lab. So CSIR has many labs. So one of the lab is National Aerospace Lab, that is NAL. So it has been, this Dhvani has been developed by CSIR-NAL. It is a state-of-art target training system. It is a state-of-art target training system which helps in perfecting marksmanship skills by accurately determining the location of bullet impact and providing real-time feedback. Like you have seen, there are ranges where infantrymen practice shooting. So this is kind of system I think is used there, where perfecting marksmanship, and then you hit the bullseye. When you fire a bullet in a training range, you hit the bullseye, that the innermost circle, the nucleus of the this thing chart, and the hit plate that has been put on the wall to be hit by the marksman. So it improves their marksmanship. So it is a state-of-art target training system. Target training system. So you are hitting the target. So it helps. I think when you hit the bullet, it tells you where the bullet has hit and what you have missed. So it gives you the feedback. So it improves your marksmanship. Like you are not giving me feedback, so I can't improve myself. Like what improvements are needing. If you give me feedback, tell me what all things you don't understand, what concepts are lagging, whether my message is reaching you or not, whether my sound is clear or there are some things with the words. Those things are not happening. So this system, this is a feedback system developed by the CSIR NAL. So you must also tell me, give me feedback. Like this is just a monologue. I'm standing in front of a camera, talking. I don't know what message has reached you. Like how much knowledge have you gained? How much I need to know that. So give me feedback. Tell me what is missing. What way I should convey my message. So message is more important. So as well, medium is also important. But this medium is one-way medium. Like I am telling or lecturing and you listening after a time lag. You'll get mail and you'll listen or see, watch, and then I don't know what you do. You don't tell me, because if you tell me, then I would know like how to complete the loop. It is just it is analog kind of thing. It is not continuous. So if I'm telling you something, if there is this lecture is there on some topic, you should have some points. I think whether if the message is not clear, I should get the feedback. These are the gaps we are finding this thing difficult. Then I can correct myself. I can complete the loop and give you the right kind of answer. But that feedback is not coming, so there is not complete loop. So system, I don't know how it is working. My time is very limited. Those appearing for 2021 exam, 2022 exam, they have very limited time of 4-5 months. So they must be very agile in all these kind of things. Immediately contact and tell these are the difficulties we are finding, what new things we need to know, what other things are there. So that way it is very important this gap is eliminated, that loop is completed. You tell me back where you are finding difficulties and what else new things to be told, what is being repeated. I am telling these things are from your notes only, notes you get from the institute. So if you have any difficulty, you got other concept like the question, S400 question was there, air superiority concept. So you have the notes only about the characteristics. You don't have the notes about its characteristics, which is the characteristics of other systems. So that you have to search net, ask me, tell me these are the things linked to this and the things you have told. So that way I can find out and tell you more and build a good knowledge base which you can rely on, and just linear knowledge base, being told, writing, I don't know much. So these are very important systems. So mantra I talked about, then dhvani, now comes the avaks. So air dominance, you have the strike aircraft, attack helicopters and all those things. So now how do you know the enemy nations, what they are doing, like how you protect your airspace and how you keep a watch on the airspace of the enemies, whether they are trying to send something through the aerial route, some guided missile or some missile or the aircraft. So for that you need systems, like I told you about the S400 systems and anti-aircraft systems. So these systems use radars. So radars are very powerful weapon. I told you in the World War II they were invented during the World War II for British protection of their nation, island nation, from the incoming German airplane attacks, aircraft attacks. So what we have is radar. So generally these radars were earlier based on ground. So after some time they thought, why don't we have the radars in the air, mounted on an aircraft, to have a 360-degree view of the airspace. 360 means complete circle. You have from all sides, you can keep track from up to below, horizontal, vertical, side, this side to this side, left to right. So this kinds of weapon radars mounted on aircraft which keep watch the airspace. So AWACS are of these kind of systems. So what is the full form of AWACS? AWACS. What is the full form? Airborne Warning and Control Systems. Airborne warning and control system, that is radars are put on the aeroplane, airborne, they are airborne. Warning, they warn that something is happening, some enemy threat is coming in the form of missile, aircraft or other unmanned aerial systems. So control systems, that is they control the whole aerospace, they keep a watch and tell the people concerned that these things are happening in the airspace. So keep a watch, like a watchman. These are radars mounted on special aircrafts to provide seamless 360-degree coverage of airspace. Means continuously 24/7, 360 into 365, they are continually keeping the watch. These are radars mounted on special kind of aircraft. You might have seen these aircraft, there is a dome kind of thing, big dome on an aircraft, specially built aircraft. So these are the radar arrays or some kind of things. So they are just scanning the whole aerospace 360 degree. So keeping a watch being radars put on special aircrafts. So at present, India uses Falcon AWACS, that is Israel-made systems put on Russian Il-76, Russian aircrafts and other systems, radars on the system made by Israel. And they are also using American Poseidon 8i, which I think I have talked about somewhere during the Navy this thing. They are the American Poseidon also. So and another one system they are using is indigenously developed Netra, NETRA, AEW and CS. What is NETRA? The name, and A system name. The concept is AEW and CS. What is it? AEW and CS. A is airborne, early, E is early, W is warning, and CS is C for control, S for system. These are Netra is airborne, early warning and control systems. So AWACS kind of things. So these have been developed by Center for Airborne System and DRDO, and these have been mounted on Brazilian Embraer aircrafts. These are small aircrafts, so these systems are small compared to the American AWACS. So they are big. They are put on Boeing kind of big airplane. Radars being put on big Boeing 767 or 747 big airplane they are put. So this is a small kind of system. So Netra platform is capable of delivering a recognizable air surveillance picture of aerial threats via search, track, while scan and priority track modes. Currently 2 engineers Netra mini AWACS are there. So these are small systems. They are not, I think they are just developing. They are just developing this technology. I developed something, but the one they have imported like Falcons and the Poseidons, they are big systems. So they have imported those systems. Embraer is a small aircraft being built in Brazil. So AWACS is there. Then comes the this aerial systems which India are developing in addition to the fighter aircraft and helicopter. Then comes the Nishant, NISHANT. Nishant. What is Nishant? Nishant is an UAV, an unmanned aerial vehicle developed by DRDO. It is an unmanned aerial vehicle. Unmanned means without pilot or other things. It is being flown without humans. So you are flying something, a robot kind of thing, flying a robot it is basically. So you have a unmanned aerial vehicle, means a unmanned vehicle which flies. So unmanned aerial vehicle developed by DRDO, primarily tasked for intelligence gathering and also for reconnaissance and training, surveillance, target designation, artillery fire correction, and damage assessment, etc. What does this mean? This is all there in the notes. I am just repeating the notes just to be on the same wavelength as you. So you have the material, you read, and I also am reading, so that we connect. But basically these are very small things, like you just have a rough view of all these things. Not you need to be very everything. You have a rough view. Try to have basic idea of what these things are. Nishant is what is intelligence gathering, like this thing flying on the enemy territory and gathering information about the troop formations, tanks formations, other weapon, artillery weapons, where they are, what infrastructure activities being taken by the enemy nation. So like China, Ladakh, they can fly this to find where the infrastructure is being developed, what bridges they are building, what roads they are building. So these kind of systems can be used, records, surveillance. So these are all spy things, keeping watch on the enemy nation's activities. So you are prepared that way, something doesn't happen inimical to you. So artillery fire correction, that you have seen in Kargil where the Gophers guns were used. They used to fire a lot of these artillery shells on the hills. So those hills have those hills. You just don't waste expensive shell on firing somewhere. You need to hit some targets. So those targets were the posts, enemy posts in the Kargil hills. So those posts are to be identified and then the shell fired. These are not guided shells which go and identify, and so somebody has to point out this is the location. Coordinates are given. So you have to fire according to the coordinates. So this helps Nishant gives the coordinates, the finder through its technology, the coordinates and other things, and then the shells can be fired so correctly that they hit the target. Damage assessment, like some damage has taken place, there are landslides or cloud bursts and other things are there in the hills, or other things are there, floodings are there, where it is very difficult to reach the area. So this thing, unmanned area, we can fly over that area and can take pictures, videos, and give back to the people who need to plan accordingly what to do, how to control the situation. So these are the some things which this Nishant UAV can do. It has an endurance of 4.5 hours, that it can fly for 4.5 hours. Catapult launch and recovered by parachute. Catapult launch, like I told you, in the case of aircraft carriers, vertical takeoff. There is a special kind of takeoff. Sky jump is there, or sky jump or a takeoff. There is a ramp and the aircraft takes through that, and arrested recovery. There is a wire is there which stops the landing aircraft, and things are there. So what does catapult launch mean? Catapult means something that you throw. So this thing is thrown through a catapult, Nishant. It doesn't take off on a runway like the Predator and other UAVs used by America. So it is catapult launch. So it is just thrown in the air and then it starts flying, and it has an endurance of 4.5 hours. And recovery, like when it is finished its mission, it just deploys the parachute and lands on the surface. Then there is Rustom-2 drone, RUSTOM-2 drone. What is Rustom-2 drone? It is a medium altitude long endurance drone, MALE, medium altitude, not very high, medium altitude, long endurance, when it can stay in air for long, drone, designed and developed by DRDO, and it will replace and supplement Huron UAVs for information, spying and reconnaissance. It can fly up to 22,000 feet and endure for 20 hours. This information is there, I am just repeating so that you have a repetition of the information. You read, then I am telling you this thing, you know something is there, so you make a brief note, not very, don't go, these are, you give a basic, you should have a rough idea of these things. Drones, what kind of drones India is developing. So India is also trying to import drones from America. I don't know whether America has granted permission for this import thing or not, but they are trying to, so they are trying to develop, like you see in 80s, these ballistic missile programs started, and now the program is fructifying. So they start this program, and then the technology is developed and then given to the armed forces for operational purposes. So this way it will take some time. So these they are developing. So DRDO, they are in development stage. They are doing trials and all those things. So Nishant, Rustom-2 drone, and then this is also in your notes. I have taken these things from your notes only. Then comes the artificial intelligence. You know the artificial intelligence to make the machine smart, to take its own decisions. So the weapon in this defense forces throughout the world also trying to use this defense artificial intelligent systems, like you make a tank intelligent, give its autonomy, or you make this thing an artillery gun intelligence. It detects a threat, targets, identifies the target and hits it with the shell. So these kind of the system in artificial intelligence make it, like in place of soldiers you have the robots, cannon mounted on moving wheels, or robots which can fire and detection. So you don't need to endanger a human soldier life. So these kind of systems are being developed, and India also developed some task forces or something for these are future weapons. So I'll tell you something. This is there in your notes. Artificial study the whole range of issues on implications. So India, what they do best is they create a task force and a study group or something like that for these kind of technologies. to study the whole range of issues and implications of AI on national security and defense needs. A multi-stakeholders task force on strategic implementation of AI for national security and defense was constituted in 2018. Its members were from DRDO, Defense Public Sector Units, ISRO, BARC, etc. That is space and nuclear energy sector institutions in these sectors. Then there are AI enabled products. So some projects have been launched for these AI enabled products. So one was launched by one project was sanctioned to Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, a lab, DRDO lab. Like I told you, National Aerospace Lab for Tejas, which worked on LCA Tejas. So you have a lab, CSIR lab, that is known as Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, CAIR. So it is trying to develop these kind of systems for the forces. So sometimes this question like S400 triumphs, they may ask you the question how AI is useful as a tool for as a tool for defense. So you can write it would aid defense force in areas of decision and support, sensor data analysis, predictive maintenance, situational awareness, accurate data extraction, security, etc. Means these autonomous systems like the robots on the Mars, Perseverance, Curiosity, these systems can make decisions on their own. They don't have to rely on the human intervention. Human overall supervision is there. Like these robots, you communicate with these robots, but local problems they have to handle themselves. So these AI-enabled systems would take decisions on their own in the local areas based on their inputs. Lot of data they can gather. So data analytics and all those things, decision making, the data they feed from like from the hazardous areas, from nuclear zones or nuclear leak zones or the bio-threat areas or bio weapon hit areas. So these chemical weapon hit areas. So these robots can take, AI-enabled robots can gather data, take decisions and feedback to the decision makers. So they can take decision based on this. Like they can have a camera which can take images of the area, what kind of things are there in case of aerial robot or a flying robot or a ground robot, what troop formations are there, what different things are there. So that way a picture is provided literally and other sense as well to the decision makers. So they can take decision what kind of retaliatory measures or offensive measures will be taken against such inimical threats. So I have covered Air Force, Navy, Army. There is also another branch of defense in America that is they have created, that is Space Force, to deal with the space threats. So India, I don't know, I think there is any space forces there, but some space agencies there, military space agency or defense space agency. So they have a full structure for the organizational structure for the space threats. Because I have told you about the satellites, spy satellites and jamming of satellites by enemy nations and all those things, signals and satellites. So these are very important aspects. So I have talked about this question, they may ask you this question in future about space capabilities in defense space capabilities of India and what systems are, because these are classified information, they are not open source information, so we don't much about. So you have to, whatever is available, you have to write based on that. So I've talked about the ballistic missile, cruise missiles, fighter aircrafts, submarines, ships, different kinds of ships, torpedoes, surface weapons, subsurface weapons, air weapons. So these all things are there. So this now I complete this portion of this chapter on defense technologies. So this is a very important chapter. Sometimes they repeat the question, like S400. They have this question from S400. So they may again ask. They might ask this question again. So some based on some other technology in this field. So you should be prepared. It's not like you think like this chapter is important. They have already asked this question from this chapter, so they won't ask, so you don't read. But you have to take a holistic view. You have to read everything, little bit of everything. So you have the grasp of everything. When you don't taken by surprise in case of by the question paper, like somebody was reacting by surprise in case of essay paper of mains 21, like they said these are where from all these questions have come. So you have to be prepared to face any challenge. So these are important aspects. Now I have covered space, nuclear technology, and defense technology. Next lecture I'll take a biotechnology. So do ask questions. So I have told you so many things. I'm surprised you don't have many questions. So you should be, if you are preparing seriously, do ask questions. Give me feedback, like what is needed, what more I need to tell, so that I cover all the things which need to be covered. It is a very vast field. Like question, you should go through a newspaper, find out what is happening in defense technology. Like recently INS Vishakhapatnam, they just fired a BrahMos, naval variant of BrahMos from that ship. INS Vishakhapatnam, I told you, is a destroyer class of Vishakhapatnam class destroyer. So you should have an overview of things, like you should read in newspapers what is happening in defense, nuclear, space, what all programs, new programs like artificial intelligence. They have taken up artificial intelligence robotics program. Center has been established, task force has been established for these purposes. Earlier also for missiles and blasting missiles and cruise missiles and other tanks and other things, these systems were put in place. So they are fructifying now, they are giving the results. So for the future, these task forces, these study groups have been set up to give their inputs to the policy planners. So how India indigenizes these systems. So they manufacture on their own, don't rely, like, because in a war, if somebody stops the supplies of the weapon system, then what would you do? You are finished. So you have to be on your own, you have to be autonomous, you're like not depending on others for supplies or other things. So these are the ways their the autonomy is being achieved, the self-reliance, Atmanirbhar concept. So these are the important things. So if you have any question, do ask me, but I find you don't ask questions. I will request you to ask questions, give me feedback, what difficulties you are facing. That way I can reach out to you and make some contribution in your enriching yourself. This is very important, but this thing is not happening. No feedback is coming. I don't know whether you find this medium medium informative or not. So you do ask me questions, write some questions, write your doubts on paper and mail or WhatsApp or whatever way, call, whatever way you can. So we engage that way. Thank you very much.